Thank you, Scott. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody being here. Just let me get a little assessment. How many of you have sold popcorn in the past? Okay, then I got to see the reverse because that looks like almost everybody. How many of you have not yet sold popcorn? Okay, so most of you have some experience. A few of you are going to give you a little indoctrination. And I'm going to start at the end and I'm going to work backwards. And what I mean by starting at the end is last year we were coming back from scout camp. And I had 3 scouts in the back of the truck and my son, so there were 4 of them. And they had all played, they had all sold some popcorn over the years. And I said, at the time, do you realize you guys were number 6th in the nation selling popcorn? They said, no, I didn't realize that. I said, how does that make you feel? And one of them pops up and says, like we can do anything. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a little bit what I think popcorn selling is all about, is that we teach our sons that they can do anything. It isn't really selling popcorn. It's that they gain confidence. I'm over here talking to Mike, who is the representative from Trails Inn, but his son sold $3,000 worth of popcorn last year. How about a round of applause for Mike's son selling $3,000 worth of popcorn? And it wasn't the $3,000 that lit Mike up. So tell me about it, Mike. He says, well, you know, Joe, we're walking around, and my son's 8 years old. I think I know him pretty well, but we're walking, and he sets these goals. He set the $3,000 goal. I didn't set it, he set it. Number 1, that you want to do for yourselves and your boys and your packs and your troops, set goals. His son set a $3,000 goal. He realized inside of that goal were these smaller goals. So they're out one day and they're selling some popcorn, and his son says to him, Dad, I need to sell 2 more $30 popcorns and we can be done for the day. And he says, well, what do you mean? He says, that will be $200 for today. That was my goal for today. And Mike is, are you sure? And sure enough, they totaled up. He's got a little calculator in his head that he's calculating. Folks, it's not about selling popcorn. It's about teaching your sons things that will be practical the rest of their lives. In the process, you're going to learn about your child in a way that you didn't know before. He's going to have traits and characteristics, talents God gave him. They're a little bit under the surface because he's only 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, 13 years old. But they're going to be revealed as he's out in the community. You think it's only, I get up here and I get it sound like it's all about the scout. It's not really all about the scout. Sure, the scout benefits from learning character. Sure, the scout gains confidence. Sure, the scout learns how to shake a hand. Sure, the scout surprises his dad with his math ability. A lot about the scout. But really what you're doing is creating a tremendous opportunity for people in your community to contribute to one of the greatest organizations on the planet, Scouting. I wish I had a couple of hours to share with you my scouting experiences. I'm only here to talk about popcorn. But inside of this, going door to door, sharing your son with the community, having him knock on a door as my son did, the guy didn't answer the door. So my son, a little bit like Mike's son, wants to go over to the next door. He runs over to the next door. I'm at the mailbox. The guy comes to the door. He says, what can I help you with? A very old guy. I said, just 1 minute. My son's selling over here. He walks back around, starts talking to the gentleman. And the gentleman's quizzing him about being a Cub Scout at the time. Asking him this question and that, and I'm watching him. And I'm enjoying every minute of it. It's watching my son grow in this conversation with this gentleman. And he says, what do you have there? And I show him the sheet. He says, I'll take one of those, take one of those, take 2 of those, take one of those. How much do I owe you? $155. My son and I look at each other. We're kind of happy. Nice order. He goes upstairs, takes a few minutes. He comes downstairs, and he writes the check, hands me the check, and then he says, let me show you something. And he shows us his Eagle Scout card from 1939. Who got more out of that experience? Me? A lot. My son? A lot. Or that gentleman revisiting his scouting experience over a lifetime since 1939. I could tell you scout experience after scout experience, meeting Eagle Scouts and everybody else. We're here to have your boys learn that they can do anything. And selling popcorn is one of the first steps in doing that. Setting goals inside of selling popcorn is the tool that drives that. Okay, one of the questions was, how do we get parents involved? I see some heads nodding. How many people think we need to get more parents involved? Okay, I'm pretty convinced if we went around this room, every one of you would have much better ideas than I do. But I'm going to suggest to you the only reason we had success at Pack 21 selling popcorn was because I sent an email out. I came back with a box. I said, who do I give the box to? They said, Joe, what are you kidding me? You're holding the box. You're the popcorn colonel. So if you haven't learned that, that's how this process works. I realized I would take it on, and I sent out an email, and I said, I need some help. I need a CFO. I need someone to keep track of all that's, I have no idea what's going to go into it, but whatever it is, I need someone to keep track of that. Within an hour, I get an email back from Steve Thorne, I wish he was in the room because he's really the reason we had such great success. So my first suggestion to you is ask. Ask specifically, and ask again, and ask somebody else, but ask. Ask through an invitation. If you're having a good time doing this, wouldn't you want to make that available to other people having a good time doing this? I almost think they created scouting for the parents. I asked my son after camp, who's having more fun, you or me? He says, I think you might be, Dad. I do that with popcorn too, because I not only see my son growing, I see the boys growing. Okay, so you invite parents in. Create a job description for them. So if you're the popcorn colonel, don't be the one that runs the show and sells. Maybe you go to 1 or 2 Krogers and you line that up and turn that over to somebody. And you keep asking until you find the person who runs the bank branches. That was Colin Wong in our organization. Colin, his business is to go to, I don't know, however many hundreds of however many bank branches for the bank that he works for. Who better to set up a retail outlet to sell popcorn than this gentleman? So it's one after the other. Get to know your people in your group, what they like to do, what they do for a living. Find something inside your organization that their talent is best suited for. Ultimately, that's what I realized I was good at. I wasn't good at anything else except when we would say something, I'd see a smile on someone's face, and I said, do you think you could take care of that? 8 out of 10 times they said absolutely. 1 out of 10 times, all they really wanted to know was a little more detail. Because I have found that most people that take things on aren't willing to do it unless they're going to do a really good job. Just like you. You're here today to learn how to do a little bit better job in getting your son in a position to make supporting the Boy Scouts available to more people. So it seems to me, I haven't heard the numbers, but it seems to me the Atlanta Area Council is elevating its game. They're making these more valuable. So, how to get parents involved, invite them, learn about their skills, and attach them to jobs that will make that worthwhile to them. Show and sells. Where do you do show and sells? I think you do show and sells everywhere and all the time. They're easy. And not only they're easy, they're fun. How many have done show and sells? Okay, sit and think about a show and sell and make it fun. Now we never did this, but one of the best ideas I came up with, I couldn't get anybody to implement, was if you go to the Kroger, which is where we did most of them, but they went everywhere. I mean, we did them all over the place. Why not take a grill and have cooking hot dogs? So bringing people over, and then you got these young boys in these uniforms. Nobody says no to them. You just need to get more people to walk by them so that they buy the popcorn. And everybody, those kids got such good smiles. I think it should be illegal that we can take kids as handsome as this young man here in his Class A with that big smile on his face, and we put him in front of people asking them to buy popcorn. I mean, it's really not fair. They always say yes. How many people think the product is too expensive? Well, they kind of went up a little late, okay? What product are you selling? How many people are selling, don't raise your hand. How many people think they're selling popcorn? You're not selling popcorn. You're selling scouting. So when you get out of your mind that it's popcorn that you're selling, but scouting, this is how it works. This happened very early on. My son sold some, we had the trail mix at the time. And the lady bought a trail mix, and we go back to deliver the trail mix, and we give her the bag. And she says, well, how much do I owe you? And my son says, $25. She says, $25? $25. And I said, he learned this later to say it himself, I think we ran into it one other time in the next 4 years. I said, well, actually, you made a contribution to scouting of $25, and this is your thank you. Because 99% of the people aren't buying the popcorn. They give it away. They don't eat it. It sits around for a year. And I'm not knocking the product. It's a good product. Don't misunderstand me. But the product that they're buying that is so much more valuable to them, the community, the country, and the boys is scouting. And scouting is enhanced by the byproduct of selling popcorn, which is raising money, both at the council level, but now they're even going to share an additional almost 10%, 8 and change percent of the revenue with you, which only means that you can do more with scouting. It's got to be about fun. So we got to where so what is it we did? How did we motivate the boys? Well, we set these trips. We didn't know what we were doing. Ben's not in here. When I went to the first one I went to, Ben's up there. What are you going to do with the money? And these hands are going up and these ideas are being forth. And someone said, we're going to go sleep on an aircraft carrier. How many have been out to Yorktown? Okay. If you haven't been out to Yorktown, you ought to set that as a goal. This year, you sell $400 worth of popcorn. We're going to send you to Yorktown. And you and your dad are going to be sleeping on the Yorktown, which, if you don't know, is in Charleston. It's going to be one of the highlights of your experience in Cub Scouting or Boy Scouting. If you haven't done it, go. Then we went to Space Camp. And then we had this trip up into the Smoky Mountains with this guide in a snowstorm. It was incredible. And there was virtually no cost to do any of those experiences for the boy or the dad, because there was enough money raised through selling popcorn. And it was through this setting that goal. Each one of the boys knew that that was what was required. And if you do the math, $400 doesn't cover the cost. But it really does. So you don't have to set a goal that actually mathematically is what's required to make it happen. Because once you get them in the process of being in the community, selling popcorn, they will sell it. And they're going to set their sights higher. And they're going to reach a little bit further. And they're going to go from $1,500 to $3,000 to $5,000 to $8,000, like my son ended up selling, and have the scholarship. You do yourself and your son a favor by bringing your best to this activity like you do with so many other things. You're here because this is fun and you get a lot out of it. And guess what happens? When you start putting more into it, you get more out of it. So, you know, unlike Mike, I'm a volunteer that gets paid. I haven't earned a nickel in American currency from this, but the rewards have been extraordinary. One of which is to come here as some sort of expert to talk to you. I'm no expert, other than I chose to do something I didn't know I could do. I found I could do it a little better than I certainly thought I could. And therefore I get an opportunity to share that with you, because everyone in here could do much more than PAC 21 ever did. Once you set your mind to it, that the value, the why you do it is what's important. If you figure out it's a trip to the Smoky Mountains or sleeping, they went and slept up at the last one, we weren't part of this, slept at the aquarium up in Chattanooga. And the stories I hear about how much fun everybody had. So when you figure out why it is you're doing this, and that it's important that you create that experience for your sons and their parents and their families and the community, once you decide that is important, how to do it will become easy. Who will do it will become obvious. So we started with having this be about making people feel they can do anything they set their mind to. We are very, very fortunate that we're part of an organization as great as the Boy Scouts. And don't discount how valuable it is that all of this stuff is lined up for you. It's plug and play. You come here, you sign a sheet, they've got you in the system, you send in your order, they take you with the popcorn, you deliver the popcorn, you collect a check. It's easy. Go out and figure out another way to make money. And I've heard a lot of them, we can talk about that, but you won't find an easier way to do it than the plug and play popcorn. Folks, much like the boys coming home from that scouting trip, once you set your mind to it, once you set a goal, once you see the vision of your talents being deployed in the market and having satisfied customers, you will find what my son and the boys in the back of the car found, that they can do just about anything. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you today.